And you might have seen this in the videos that I prepared, that I run this a little bit different. I'm spotlighting myself now. I'm going to switch over to my presentation mode here. I should be now big and easy to see. Can you hear me clearly, every one of you? Does this sound very clear? Okay. By the way, if I'll spend time explaining a number of things here, how this session works, what ILAP does. If you have any questions, just unmute yourself and say, stop, Mike. I need to know something. Just pause me, okay? So feel free to just help me here and ask questions. Otherwise, I'll keep my chat window open as well. In case you have any questions, I'll definitely will find time to address them. So I have a number of things planned for tonight. And I'm very excited because this is only the second time we're doing this. So if the first time we had this introduction was last year. So I'm going to share with you who I am. To those of you who don't know me yet, I'll keep that very brief. What IntelliCoach really stands for, and I'll share what ILAP is. And give you a bit of an idea what hopefully makes it easier for you to decide whether this could be a good choice for you as a program. So we'll spend about 45 minutes, that's my target, at the very maximum of that, so we have some time for your questions as well. Okay. So who am I? Who's talking to you right now? So my name is Maik, so the spelling is from East Germany, so the saying goes that this is an East German spelling that East Germans have developed as opposed to the West German spelling. At least that's what I was told once. Yeah, so at that time when I was born in 1980, the name Maik was one of the top 5. That's what I've heard in the entirety of Germany. And the spelling M-I-K-E is more popular apparently in the West. So it could be a bit of useless trivia here. So there are 3 things that I'm going to share with you about myself. I was a translator, I was a policeman, and I'm now a coach. The first 2 are metaphors. The last thing is real. So all are somehow related really to language. So I started my career in semiconductors, in IT companies, and I translated between HR and IT, and that's fun, as you can tell. So it's really a push and pull. I started in IT, and you can tell here by what you experience right now that I enjoy this. So I'm a coach who combines IT and HR in a way that truly I think I love bringing to the table now. So I was in IT and I went into HR, both at that intersection between those 2 functions. I became a policeman afterwards, an internal policeman in governance in BHP Billiton, the biggest Australian taxpayer. And I learned to say no in a way that people don't jump at my throat. So it's quite a big art, right? To say no and help people understand what it means, why they should actually be thankful for that no that you give them, because you're actually helping them. So I did enjoy that. I also grew to like being a manager here. So I had at the time a number of 10 people directly reporting to me. And that taught me a lot about how hard it is and how much I don't know. So I stumbled into a lot of different things here. Coaching was one of them without even knowing it. And at the end of that stint in 2015, when BHP asked me to go to Australia, I said no. And I zoomed into that area of the work that I enjoyed the most, which was to coach. And my only exposure to coaching at that time was as a strength coach. And that's why the first company that I actually founded was called Strength Discovery. And based on my certification, my first ever certification as a Gallup certified strength coach, it's still something which I love a lot. And here's a little tip for you as coaches. Using some of those tools like Strength Finder or EQI can be great shortcuts to help your clients build initial self-awareness. These are powerful tools if we use them right, if we introduce them right. But from 2017, I really learned through the clients also that I work with what I really enjoy. And that's coaching leaders and also teaching them how to coach. And these are really these 2 things that I've learned to love and done with companies, a range of companies that I worked with over that time. Especially I think with eBay, I grew up in this area, who spent a lot of good time and effort, and I helped build a program to basically teach every single people leader basic coaching skills. And that really ignited my my fire and to found IntelliCoach, which I've done in 2018. And it's really built around that purpose. And since 2020, basically, I run this academy, and I call the academy a Corona baby, because it wouldn't exist without this. I would have probably still traveled in 2020 to places in Asia. I had customers in Germany, but yeah, in March, April, all that stopped, like for many of us. I was at home with kids for 8 weeks. And it was exactly at that very first day that my kids went to school again, after our, what we called circuit breaker, lockdown, that I sat on the balcony and drafted this program. So it was really the first day after our lockdown. And that's really what filled IntelliCoach with life. And IntelliCoach is now basically 3 things that I want to share with you. The vision for IntelliCoach is really to help every people leader just to know these coaching skills. And why? It's because of a question that I also asked in every single workshop that I've run since 2016 with leaders. I ask people leaders typically 2 questions. How many people leaders have you had so far in your life? And if they are senior, maybe they tell me, yeah, maybe 10, 5 or 10. And then I ask them the next question. So how many of those, percentage-wise, do you consider a great leader? What's your hunch? I think I showed it just now. The bitter reality was that in most cases, people tell me 10 to 20%. That was a sobering pattern that I've seen over and over again in many companies that I've been working with. And my ambition is very simple for IntelliCoach, just to flip that ratio. I would love to have experienced a world where just people say, no, most of my people leaders were great leaders. And the things that we also found is that those traits of great leaders coincide to a great degree with the skills of great coaches. They empathize, they listen, they take people seriously. So they do things that great coaches do, right? And that's where my mission comes into play here, to democratize these coaching skills with people leaders and bring them to all the people leaders sort of out there in the world. And to be really ambitious, to put a dent in the universe of managers. I'm curious, what do you think? And you can unmute yourself. How many managers do you think are there in the world? I've done a bit of a mini calculation about that a few months ago. Any rough estimate? Give me a number. Put it in the chat or just tell me what comes to mind for you. How many people leaders are there roughly? Any hunch? This sounds like one of those case study interview questions, right? That they would give you at BCG or McKinsey. Any rough hunch? 10 billion, 1 million? Something in between, right? So what is it? Any guess? Hmm. 40% of the population. This is a good start. Good start, Ulrich. Yeah. I found some studies about in the US, yeah, and 1 or 2 countries in Europe where there was a clear indication of how many managers there are compared to the population. And based on that, the rough estimate is that there's something in the order of 200 to 500 million people leaders out there in some form, and somebody who sits on top of someone else in any kind of organization. And that may be 200 to 500 million with a confidence level of 80% maybe, so I'm not leading very far here, but it's a big number. It's a big number. And if you think that only 20% are considered as really being great, there's a big potential out there for organizations to experience something better. And that's really what we are here for. So this is my way to put a dent in that universe here. And we're started in October with this program, the IntelliCoach Leader Academy program, to bring these skills to specifically people leaders or those who are aspiring to be one in the future. People who deal a lot with direct or indirect influencing in stakeholders. Right? Leadership is not just exactly the formal one, but there's a lot of informal leadership as well. We've had some good experience here as well. I'm only showing this here for a moment. If you're watching this, you can pause it. We had some pretty good feedback already. I know we already have Ivy and Michael here as well, your participants of the first cohort. So I'm really happy to have you here tonight as well. So that's really what IntelliCoach is about. It's really about bringing these skills to the people leaders out there. So let me talk a bit about ILAP here, and I'll pause in a moment as well for questions. ILAP stands for the IntelliCoach Leader Academy program. And I want to talk about three things when I talk about this program. The what kind of deliverables, what does it do? What does it give you? The why, what could make you say, or anyone say, this program is better than the dozens and dozens and dozens of coaching development programs out there. So I would like to spend a few moments on there. And the how, basically what could be a way how you put this into place? What can you do after this session, for example? What's the timeline like for this program that starts in April? So I'll talk about these three things here. The what, the outcomes and deliverables. Well, ILAP is on a very basic level. The way, I'll make myself a little bit smaller here. Hold on. Make myself a bit smaller. If I can do this, yep, this looks better. IntelliCoach is the way ILAP is the way we deliver on this mission. It's a professional coaching skills development program. And that is important because it goes way beyond what many companies do in terms of skilling up leaders in basic coaching skills. So one example that I've seen is SAP do this, or IBM do this. They have a program called Big Blue Coaching, where they teach the GROW model. So this goes way deeper. So this program is about helping leaders go beyond that. Help leaders go beyond simply asking, what would you do? So this is a very frustrating question for a team member to get from a leader coach who knows just a little bit to be dangerous as a coach, because it makes people leaders. It gets people stumped very easily. And it's targeted at current and aspiring people leaders and those people who need to influence a lot and also support people leaders. The outcomes of this program? Well, twofold. And it's very simple. You will learn how to coach well, that's number one. And you will know how to use these coaching skills in all your conversations. And these sound similar, but they're very different things. When we talk of coaching well, it means you are able to hold a conversation and show the competencies that the International Coaching Federation really looks for in a professional, accomplished coach. At the end of this course, you will be able to do this. You will know how to build trust and safety. You will know how to build a good agreement. You will know how to observe an awareness in your client and turn that into momentum. But let's be honest, when you work in an organization and you work with stakeholders, you're not just stopping someone right in the meeting and ask, so can I coach you here for 5 minutes on this? No, you won't do that. But you will use active listening skills. You will likely be able to share to someone in your meeting, I heard something there in your comment just now. I heard something that you really want. And if you do this in a way that comes natural, people will simply feel heard. And those traits, they will contribute to someone else saying 10 years, 20 years down the road to saying, yes, this person was a great leader. They listened to me. They actively listened. They asked me great questions. So people will get away with knowing how to coach well and use these skills. The exact deliverables are again twofold too. We acquire competencies and we acquire practice. And this is already roughly about the two areas about the course. I'll share with you quickly the way the program runs. How do we do this? Well, it's meant for leaders. And when we talk about teaching how to coach, it's about becoming prepared. That's the first module. And to becoming a coach. So ILAP has 5 modules, and module 2 is really about that ICF curriculum. Here you learn how to hold a good coaching conversation. Then it is followed by a module where we talk about specific challenges of a leader. So helping people perform, giving them feedback, developing people, influencing without authority. And you can already see here specific numbers that are written to this, specific numbers This is the rough time that it will take for each module over the course of those 4 months. And module 4 is basically practice, practice, practice. I always call it this muscle flexing. There's a lot of coaching is a skill. So a lot of people tell me, I can't be empathetic. That's not something I was born with. And coaching is not something that's not me. That's not me. By the way, we'll discuss about exactly that mindset right in the beginning, because that mindset is not a growth mindset. If you can't unlock that for yourself, you also can't unlock that for others as a coach. So we'll start by believing, yes, we can figure this out. There's a lot of practice that we'll do in module 4, where we'll get very concrete and sharp in applying these skills. And module 5 is basically to sharpen ourselves. That's a little bit greenish here. I'll make this here. That's about collecting those hours to become ICF certified. And I'll talk about that in a moment, what that means. I'll talk a bit more about that. So when we talk about the acquired competencies, so you'll get the ICF coaching core competency set. Some of you might know about them, some not. That's fine. So the ICF is one of the biggest bodies in the world who describes what great coaching is. The International Coaching Federation. They've been, until last year, been called the International Coach Federation. They've changed their branding and their naming. And the amazing thing about this organization is that they describe a competency set for coaches in a wonderful degree of detail. It helps you if you want to learn how to coach. It helps me to teach it. And this course is strongly aligned to that competency set. You will see modules 2 and 3 build on them. We learn how to build a foundation with our clients. Learn how to create a relationship with them, maintain strong agreements, creating trust and safety, maintaining presence with them, to listen actively, to evoking awareness, facilitating client growth. That was in a 20-second summary, the skill set of great coaching. Easy headlines, hard to put into place. So you know this here, who have been in this journey with me. I know this because I had my own struggles as a coach, especially in certain areas about the agreement. But it can all be learned, and that's the great empowering message here for all of us. So how we do this here, there's an integrated level of learning. So if you become a member of IntelliCoach, you get access to an integrated coaching portal. And this is just a starting picture of what you see when you become an explorer. The moment you hit apply, I'll send you a link at the end of this webinar. You get access to this. You can already see and get a good feel for the first lessons in this course. So this course has a community where we share reflections. There's also a Slack channel that you can use if you want to get some more immediate interaction. I think sort of we all decided in the pilot that we don't like WhatsApp that much. So that's why we chose Slack. So by the way, don't worry that you don't need to have an IT major to go into this course. We'll make this very easy and digestible for everyone. So that's a second important thing. And I'll share at the end of this session, by the way, how that looks. I'll actually have it live look into this platform too. And at the end of this course, you're basically ready for your ACC. Now, what does that mean? What's an ACC? So an ACC is the first level of accreditation that the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, offers. They offer 3, right? So ACC, PCC, and MCC. ACC basically is something you can get after you have 60 hours of training and you swear that you have 100 hours of experience and you attest to that. That is what you're ready to apply for once you've done this course. So this course gives you 60 hours of training. It fulfills that requirement. The 100 hours, you get a good chunk of it in the training itself. But there's more for you to do. I'll offer a platform where you can find participants in the course, but you can, the moment you start coaching in this program, you can start collecting these hours. The next level is PCC. This is where you have got 125 hours under your belt and 500 hours of coaching experience. That's where Marion and myself are in this category here. So we are at this level. A lot of training included. And at MCC level, well, you've basically done this for the better part of your career to get to that level of 2,500 hours of experience. Well, we get to a point of ACC in this course. I'll talk about that in a moment more, what that means. There's one asterisk here. I put this in quotes. ILAP as a course is not yet accredited by ICF. The pilot that was run since October is part of the official and normal process to get accredited. So we're fully on track to have the accreditation, the stamp by ICF by July, very latest August. Yeah, so what ICF needs me to do as a new coaching provider is to prove that there is a program in the first place, that there is a program, that I have had a handful of people who've gone through them, and that the curriculum is solid. Now, I'm in strong contact with ICF since October. I have full confidence that it's going to get there, but I also make a bit of an offer here to you when it comes to the pricing. I'll talk about that. Yeah, just in case something happens, you never know. The pandemic came out of nowhere. Who knows what else happens in 2021? I'm not going to scream it loud here. Okay, so ILAP is not yet accredited, but I strongly believe we'll get there by the middle of this year. So the acquired competencies. Let's talk about practice for a moment here. The practice is basically you get through these 3 modules. In module 3, what you just saw, there's a lot of competencies and a bit of practice. In module 3, we'll introduce, yes, a bit more content, but you'll already practice a lot. So you will come into sessions where you will coach someone in the course and will all observe and share observations for the coach so they can rapidly improve. And then in module 4, we'll really just refresh the competencies and we're going deeply into practice. And that's something which I've seen personally. I've attended a number of coaching courses so far as a participant myself. I have not seen the degree of practice in other courses that I've seen in my own. And I can only share that what I've seen for myself. So I've attended some courses where I've only been, and I raised my hand every single time. I was only being able to coach at the day 4 of 5 in a training. So you won't get that here. You will coach a lot, right? So I maybe ask Michael or Ivy whether you agree or disagree with me here. How do you feel about the degree of coaching practice that you get in this course?
It's a very, very rich experience. Yeah, we started coaching not on day 1, but as early as week 1 or 2. And there is always in each of the sessions at least a coaching session to observe. And I think I'm absolutely not lying when I say you learn a lot from observing coaches and then discussing the coaching sessions after the fact. And that's very instructive as well as coaching yourself.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the great pillars of coaching. Thanks, Michael. And the best is I haven't paid Michael to say this. So thank you, Michael.
Well, I'll add a bit to that.
Yes, Ivy.
Because I myself, I have no idea, or I wasn't, I didn't really have too much idea of coaching, but I enjoy that people connection and helping people. So the course, like Michael said, we are on module 4, so there's a lot of coaching practice, a lot of observation, a lot of reviewing how it can be done, and then you can learn from that. But the course is set up quite nicely, where in the beginning there is all sorts of little exercises along the way, and for you to progress into doing the whole coaching session yourself. So I think that was very nice. That was great. The whole, it took me step by step to be able to do that whole coaching session myself.
Yeah, thank you, Ivy. Someone described it like building a puzzle together. I sort of know what it is like. You're building that and suddenly, whoops, it makes sense. I can see the picture here. Now I can actually play with that. Yeah. So in that outline, thank you, Ivy. Thanks, Michael, for sharing your thoughts. So these are the deliverables. I'll talk briefly about the why. Right, and I'll pause after that for a moment before we go into the how. What makes ILAP different in sort of my humble view here? And I'll talk in a very corporate way here. We all speak that language: quality, speed, and cost. How might this course may be different here? For quality, I'm thinking of three things. I think the level of proficiency that you get, the kind of learning platform that you experience, and the deliberate practice that happens in this course. Part of that we already talked about. The level of proficiency. My ambition, and we talked about this here, is for us to basically get, not just, we don't stop here at ACC level. I think if we talk about this level here, this is a continuum. I don't want us to stop here. ILAP is getting us very close to PCC level, to full PCC level. So that's something which my ambition was. You're coaching to a degree that you might not experience in other courses. You might wonder, should I actually take a PCC level course? It's probably a good experience still, because it's always a good idea, I feel, to attend multiple coaching courses to get a bit of a wider experience. My ambition is to get people to a degree of coaching competence that reaches very close to PCC level. That means you are able to go way beyond just asking your client what they want to do, but you're observing them. You're making very strong agreements. You're following through with these agreements. You're observing your client's body language. You inquire in them. Right? You're observing your client's learning. You're helping your client draw out learning from observing themselves. Right? So these are powerful ways that are often only taught at PCC level. I believe it can be taught in a course like this. And what I've seen in our pilot sounds like it does work. So the first thing is the level of proficiency. The second thing is the learning platform. I just want to mention it one more time. It's a fully integrated platform. There's a lot of things you get here. The live sessions, which happen 2 times a week, typically Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you are in the US, it would be Monday or Wednesday evening for you. Online, there's really a complete online course that guides us through. Every Zoom session is sort of built around an online course lesson that you go in, where you have some pre-reading, a bite-sized pre-reading. Once you're done with your lesson and you've attended it, I'll switch on the quiz. And then you'll have typically a number of quiz questions to answer. So they might look like this. 3 factors that contribute a lot to successful leader growth based on research by Marshall Goldsmith. Which one are these? I'm not going to share the answer right now. You have to find out. So every lesson has quizzes to them. That serves 2 purposes. On the one hand, on a technical level, it helps you to track your progress because the quiz is only there when you've attended. Secondly, it prepares you really well for the exam at the end of my course and also the exam that the ICF will give you. Right, so basically, my ambition is that you don't have to do any additional study. You do a bit of refresher, and then you're ready to submit and take the knowledge assessment with the ICF. Michael, Ivy, what do you think? How many quiz questions have you answered over the course of the program? Any guess? I've pulled out the numbers just yesterday for the first time.
Let's run the numbers. I mean, that's I don't know, 12 lessons or so in session. In module 2, about the same number in module 3, and then the same number in module 4. And that times 5 questions.
Yep.
Couple hundred.
Yep, 250. But it doesn't feel like that. So I've asked a few people, right? Because it's integrated. It takes you 5 to 10 minutes. It's easy. It's not meant to be difficult, but it's meant to really prepare you well. The other thing that you also do is after every lesson, you reflect. And reflective practice is very important for us as coaches. So it's easy to, and we all do this, right? We read a good book, we close it, we move it away. At least I did this. But spending some time with it and reflecting on it, that builds something. That builds something to it. I just lost my own sound here. You can still hear me, right? Hold on a second, I will come back. Okay. Yep, here we go, I'm back. So reflections are really important. So I will ask after every lesson that you spend a bit of time to reflect on what you just heard. And that's just a paragraph or two. And I will also ask you to respond to someone else's reflection. We'll have a specific platform for that. Feels like Facebook, but it's completely not Facebook. Feels like Facebook, but is privately owned by IntelliCoach. So where we can interact together as a group. And I'll also offer a coaching platform where people can come together and decide, yeah, this is where I want to coach here. You basically put down some ideas here. Yeah, on these days I'm available. So I'm giving this to you all. So yeah, just clock your hours and get real practice. That's the platform. The deliberate practice, we'll talk about that. Michael just mentioned it. This program does 4 things. We get to coach a lot. We get to observe coaching a lot too, right? So and you get, by the way, very good at observing coaching. So when you in this course, when you observe, you're not stopping, because observing and sharing observation is itself a coaching skill, a very powerful one. It's one that evokes awareness in our clients. So we practice that too. We get trained to coach. That's also happens a lot, especially in module 2, and we get coached. And yeah, some people after a course like that, they feel out-coached. So I have trouble finding topics. Yeah, but there's a lot of coaching happening. In terms of speed, well, you are doing these 67 hours in 4 months, and that's quite a stretch, to be honest. Right? It's a continuous exercise of Tuesday, Thursdays. Between modules, there's a break or 2 here and there. I build in the ability for people to miss a session or 2. Right? So while there is a requirement for any participant to be there for all sessions, 4 of them you can participate based on recording. That's something I can grant based on ICF rules. But there are also multiple sessions available, and I'll share very briefly what this means. I'm offering, for example, the session "What is Coaching?" happens 2 times. It happens on the 6th of April at 9 a.m. in Singapore time, which is very early, or which is late in the US. The session also happens one more time on Tuesday, 7 a.m. in the morning in Germany, which is a time that many people liked a lot, at least in Europe, because it sort of replaces what people had as their commute. So it was a lucky strike. So if you participate in this course, you can attend both sessions. You can attend one, you can attend both. Right? They happen also slightly apart from each other. So you can see here, for example, this session happens early on the 7th of April, late on the 13th. That basically allows you to take a break. If you need to go take a day off, you can do that without missing a lesson. You can simply jump on the next one. You also don't have to obey the order religiously. 2.1 before 2.2, 2.3. I make it in a way that it's quite flexible. If you attend 2.5 before 2.3, that's not going to break the neck. Right, so overall, yeah, we can keep the module order, but we can be flexible here. So that's something that I do to help participants gain a bit of flexibility and do it in the time available. So that the early session and the late session. Lastly, holy cow, how do I get all these things in my calendar? You probably wonder, oh my God. So I found a way, and I hope you're excited as I am. I found an easy way to actually manage that. Let me show you. So I'll show this to you now, and I'll show this to you in a moment. I'll give you the link because you can already try this. Who has a Google account here in this course? Who has a Google account? Everyone. I think you're equipped. Because what you can basically do is use that link. The link that I give you, this is my personal Google account here. So I hit that link. Then Google will basically ask you, add the calendar, ILAP 2 sessions. I'll add that. I click yes, I'll add that. And now I go into April, and voila, sessions are already in the calendar. Everything's there. Nothing for you to do. All right, so the Zoom link is in the portal that you will get, but the sessions are all there. So there's no admin work for you. If there's an update, you will see it right in there. I'll also keep you posted. Now, if you want to try this, I'll give you a link afterwards as well, a QR code. But if you are keen to give this a shot. I'll just have to find my chat window. I'll just put that link in here. It's completely reversible. If you see that here on the bottom left, it just adds as an additional calendar. Let me switch myself a little bit off here. It adds an additional calendar and you can just remove it. If you think, nah, I don't like this course by Maik. Removed. Done. So there's no harm in trying this. I think it adds a lot to the people's ease in that moment. So that's one thing I wanted to show you that makes things a lot easier for people. In terms of cost and investment, well, there's investment on two levels. There's the financial cost. So I offer this course without ACC support. If you really want these skills, then this would be for you. If you are dreaming of becoming an ACC certified coach, that means you want to get that credential by the ICF. You seek that support by us. That means that that includes additional mentor coaching and this Module 5 support. I'll explain maybe at the end what mentor coaching means. Then this is the right course. This is what most people take. The caveat that I mentioned earlier, because ILAP is not yet accredited with ICF, what I offer is if you want to pay only $2,500 until I'm accredited, feel free to do so. You can pay that part of the invoice. If you think for your corporate department, finance department, that makes it too difficult, then you can pay that. But contractually, I will assure that if I don't get accredited by the end of 2021, you get 1K back at the end of the year to make that safe. Some people say, no, I don't want two invoices here. I don't want this nonsense. I want one piece. So by July, if something happens in the meantime, this is my safeguard that I offer for you. So you can pay only $2,500 in the beginning if you want, and then add the 1,000 once I have that stamp of approval. A question that I often get, oh, by the way, I have the accelerator track as well. That's for somebody who really wants additional support. I'm adding extra time after every session. I provide extra email and WhatsApp support, and I also include an EQI assessment. I'm certified in EQI 2.0, which is a wonderful performance driving instrument. It functions very different to Strength Finder, so that they can help people to understand their own blind spots better. In terms of time investment, though, that's probably also interesting. How much time do you probably have to spend on this course? My guess, and I probably asked Michael and Ivy as well here, so my sort of guess was 5 to 7 hours per week. That sort of breaks down into 2 to 3 hours for the Zoom sessions, maybe 2 hours for prep and post work, and 2 hours for voluntary practice. But I was wondering, Ivy, Michael, what's your experience? How much time did you spend on this course per week, roughly? You can guess, recollect.
It would be about the same. Includes, definitely the coaching practice and material pre-reading and the after reflections and quizzes.
Yeah. So it's in that range, isn't it, for you, Ivy? Yeah. For you, Mike? Was it similar?
Yeah, I would say a normal week with only the Zoom sessions will be on the order of 4.5 hours. But there is additional coaching involved. And if I do that, it can be 5 to even 6. And the more coaching you do, because this is considered part of the course, the more time you will spend on it.
Yep. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Ivy. So it's a pretty accurate guess then. Pretty accurate way to look at the time investment that you probably need. So I'll stop here for a moment before we go into sort of next steps. What questions come to mind for anyone here? What's sort of something that is a big question mark that's left for you? Maybe Denise, Anna, Claudia, Michael. Is there something that you're really curious about or that hasn't been addressed yet?
I just wanted to double check one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The 100 hours of experience that you would have to do, do you have to, I just wanted to double check, you need to complete those before you can apply to take the knowledge test with the ICF?
Those 100 hours experience
Exactly.
But they are the requirements to get accredited, it gets certified with ICF. So at that moment when you decide to do that, you will do in one sitting the knowledge assessment, and you will attest to ICF, yes, I have these 100 hours of experience. There is a bit more detail to this, because they also require a certain degree of hours to be paid, as in it has to be a transaction where you have got something in return. It doesn't have to be money. If you coach, for example, an organization, it would automatically be paid, right? But they also are open for pro bono coaching, but it's a minor part of that 100 hours. I think it's right now like 20 hours pro bono that you can submit, and 80 hours of transaction or paid coaching. And that's something you will attest. Yeah, you will not submit your entire sheet, by the way, of coaching clients. Since GPDR, that's not happening anymore. But coaches who submit this, they will need to be ready for an audit by the ICF. How does that answer your question, Michael?
It does. And just to follow up quickly on that, is there a time period between when you finish the course with you, by when you have to, if you want to be accredited, apply to the ICF? So for example, if I had 60 hours left to coach after our course and it takes me a year to do it, does that mean time limit has expired, for example, and then I can't apply to the ICF or anything like that?
I tell you, qualified yes. I think there is a time limit. Maybe Mario know that. I think there is a time limit, but I don't know exactly what it is right now. But what I will do is, and at the end of the session, Michael, I give you all a QR code with a resource where you find all the resources for this session, and I'll add that in.
Great.
On top of mind, Marian, do you know?
No, unfortunately not. I was just actually, I'm my PCC. All those MCCs they expire. So even if you then have your ACC accreditation, you need to renew. So I just figured myself, oh my God, that is also expiring. So I'm in the same boat, kind of.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. There's two time limits that come into play here in the long run, right? Your credential recertification and the coaching that you have had to have, right? And if I remember that, and it slowly comes back to me, I think you need to have had maybe 20 or 30 coaching hours in the last year before you've done that. They are quite liberal in that respect. But I'll add the link to that in the resource, Michael.
Thank you.
It's definitely not like 2 or 3 months. You have definitely a good degree of time, a year plus. I'm certain of that right now. There where you can collect these hours. But what they want to ensure is that it's not forgotten, right? And that's fair, right? Yeah. They want you to be in a position where you submit this relatively close to accomplishing your training, and that you had some experience. ICF is really about upholding the performance degree of coaching. That's why a lot of companies out there when they buy in coaching, they look for ICF coaches because it's the easiest proxy, because they know what kind of curriculum people have gone through. Yeah. Thanks. What other questions are there?
Hi, Mike. No questions from myself. I just saw the session you were hosting in LinkedIn and thought to join because I'm thinking about what will 2021 look like for personal development. And Gabby spoke so highly of you. So I remember our paths crossed before when I was with eBay.
Excellent, thank you.
But no questions. Yeah, no. Thanks for the overview. Have to make have a look at it in detail once you share it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks Anna for the feedback. Denise, Claudia, anything on top of mind for you? Anything you're more curious about right now? All good? Then
No questions.
okay. Then let's talk about the how. When we sort of get to the closing part here. So I'll talk about ILAP becoming accredited. I'll just make that formal one more time in here so that people who watch this can pause this. Right, so that particular part here, I hope to be accredited by July with this program. And I'll make that concession there that the skilled coach track is what you can pay for. If you want to make that decision, you could also get that $1,000 back at the end of the year. For the timeline, overall timeline of this course, well, typically, it might take people, let's have a little bit smaller here, it might take people, so sort of 8 months to get there. And that's just a rough timeline. Maybe you are so on that you collect your entire 100 hours right in the middle of the coach and the coaching course. And then you're done in July and you're just waiting, Maik, get that accreditation done, please, because I want to apply with ICF. In that case, yes, you're a hero and I applaud you. So, but it's surprisingly, it's a lot of hours to collect actually once you start looking at your sheet and how slowly it fills. I've had that experience, and unless you do this full time, it might take a little bit. So that's just a rough estimate. Our course takes us into July, into this month of July, and then you'll get further support. A bit of a sneak preview here for you as well, Ivy and Michael. I will still offer monthly one-time a session where we coach. Okay, so this is for anybody who's been in this course. We simply continue like we never stopped module 4. Right, and then there's this time where you can certify or go to ICF and say, yeah, I want to get there. And by the way, only once I am also accredited with ICF, you can become an ICF member. That's also a caveat. Right, so you need to be part of that. So all that will be history once I got that stamp of approval. Another point here about the course structure, I think we talked about the Google Calendar. So if you want to get a sense how does it fit in, just click on that link and look at your calendar in April and see, how does that look? How could I fit this possibly in? What would it be like to wake up in the middle of the night for coaching for 4 months in a row? Well, some people ask themselves this question, right? So it's definitely a strong commitment. And this is something that I heard from some course participants. It takes a while, right? So it is a necessary growth curve that we want to go through too. Right? So coaching there's a particular reason why ICF requires 60 hours of training, and I believe it's necessary to go through that journey yourself. Let's have a quick look into ILAP. Or before I do that, I just want to quickly share what mentor coaching means. Mentor coaching means that at some point in the course, let's say, Michael, you recorded a fantastic coaching session, right, with Anna. I'm just making it up here. Huh? You coached Anna, you had a fantastic session, and you say, wow, this is something I think I want Maik to have a look at. Right, so what you do is then you send me a note, and you say, Maik, I would like to have mentor coaching on this. And then we'll meet up for 1 hour. We'll set a Zoom call, and in that 1 hour, we're basically going through your recording. And we look at what went really well, what coaching behaviors were really visible, and what are other opportunities. And here's another secret sauce that I would like to share with you about. I'm using a bit of special technology to create a mentor coaching experience that's really special. We're basically reliving this experience. And the way this looks like is, I'll put myself in spotlight one more time. I'm pulling up one coaching conversation from myself in the past. But basically listening to the conversation again, this is the coach here.
In a better frame of mind, and I'm wondering how best we can sort of achieve that. I can achieve that goal with her.
I'll stop. What would you say now? Now, actually, you had this conversation. Your response is there, but we'll stop there. So we'll give you a chance to relive that moment with your client, right, through that recording. And that proves really effective and fun too. All right, so we're opening the bag one more time. We are giving a second chance. You'll hear my thinking in that moment or wherever else the mentor coach might be. Right? So as part of this course, and that's an added value as well that I haven't seen anybody else do yet, you're getting AI transcripts for all the conversations that happen in this course. For every single one, you get an AI transcript that gets you to 95% there. As a side note, for a conversation that you need to submit to ICF, you will need to pay for a proper transcript. But even that will cost you only $1 per minute. I'll give you some recommendations for that.
You mean like a proper, as in a human
Yes, right now it's still proper. 20 years in the future, maybe wizard machines can do that really well. Right now you still need a person who runs that. Thank you, Marion. That's what I mean by proper. So that's the kind of mentor coaching that you experience. As part of this course, we're getting 7 hours of mentor coaching as a group, and you're getting 3 hours of one-on-one mentor coaching. 1 hour of this happens as part of module 3 and 4 for those lessons that you're running there, and then you get basically 2 hours with myself or whoever else might be a mentor coach in the program. These are really powerful learning interventions for coaches. They really open people up. Blind spots en masse. I remember my first mentor coaching session. It's an amazing experience to have. So I want to have a quick look at the learning portal one more time before we close out. So when you are applying for this course, even if you're not sure about it, you're getting access to an Explorer dashboard. And that's exactly what, as a participant, you would experience. There's a bit of a greeting video here by me, and then you can already look into the first lessons here. You can start, for example, look into the lesson about your mindset. You can already do a few quizzes. All right, so to get a good idea of what is this about, what is this like. Right. So, and as part of, you can see every lesson basically starts with an introduction video by me, where I share a few minutes what this is about. Then there's a text, a bite-sized text for us to read. And after the lesson, you would do your quiz and you will do your reflection. So there's a cycle, a rhythm that returns every single time. And you will also have all the links here about who coaches who in the third module. There are ways here for us to find coaching partners. There's solutions here for you to upload your coaching practice as well. So it's all something that I will explain in the course itself. But if you don't have access yet, so in a minute or two, I'll give you a link where you can apply for that. Yeah. So basically at the end of this session, so I want to close my mind map. I want to zoom out a bit here. So I think we talked about what I introduced myself. I introduced a bit what IntelliCoach is about. And I think we spent a good degree of time on the what, why, and the how. Right, so for this program. So the only thing that's left for me to give you before I open the floor for any final questions, here's a QR code. Maybe you can take a picture of that. I'll also give you the link in the chat. Oh, I never pressed enter on the calendar link. Here we go. I think I've never done that. Yeah. So I'll give you the link to the open house materials right here as well in the chat. And QR code as well. It brings you to a web page where basically all these infos are there. And Michael, I'll add that question that you asked earlier about the timing. So I'll stop here for a moment. I'll unpin myself. Anything that's on top of mind for you that you're dying to know right now? Something that's really important you need to get out of this session. What was this like? Positive experience? Positively, negatively surprised?
Share some observations, as we say.
Please. Ooh, this feels like, can I give you some feedback? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Marion, go ahead.
No, I was just making a joke for everybody. They can already learn to share observations. Yes. Sorry. This is how we do that in 8 sessions. So maybe I just wanted to add why Maik. So I am already PCC. I'm a coach since many years, but what convinces me so to work with Maik is that when you go to I've seen other coaching institutes. They try to keep you in that ACC, and then you just get a little bit of information there, and then they want to sell you again for the PCC, and then again for the MCC. So you get with that. I was honestly very, very pleasantly surprised about the level. This is Maik is a bit humble. It is nearly a full-fledged PCC what you get for officially an ACC. So you're getting really much more than with other coaching, or let's say with several other coaching companies, because they don't like to give away so much content actually, like Maik does.
Thank you, Marion.
No question from my side. Thank you very much. Very positive and interactive session. I'm gonna jump off and go back to
yes,
day-to-day, the grind, and
yes,
I'll review the materials that you have shared.
Anna, I have one more offer, by the way. And
okay.
If you have 5 minutes left, not that you have to take it. I'm just inviting Michael and Ivy. If you do you have 5 minutes extra? Do you have a little bit of time extra? Yeah.
I have 2 minutes.
Yes. I'm going.
Yeah, I can run a little bit over.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes. I'd like to experiment here. I've seen this done before, but I think I will drop off. I'll hand over the host to someone else here. Marion, can I give it to you? Can I make you host? And you can ask some questions to Ivy and Michael being participants without me being here. All right, so you can just talk about me if you want. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'll switch off the recording too. I'll do that now. Okay, so I'll stop the recording now.
Before you go, actually, just
Yes.
one question I have for you. When is the deadline to enroll for the course?
That's a very good question. And for some reason, I haven't even thought of that yet. So in the last time, it was 2 weeks before the course starts. And that's my rough gauge now, right? So mid of March.
Okay,
I'll put
cool.
that date
Thank
as well in the material. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for pointing
no
out.
worries.
Yeah. So I'm going to drop off. So, and I just wanted to make sure you heard that in case you want to stay for that. So I will drop off as well. So feel free to ask Ivy and Michael 1 or 2 questions about this course, which you maybe don't want to ask me directly. So otherwise, I look forward to talking to you. Go to this link, hit apply if you want. Claudia and Denise as well. Michael, if you have done it already. Let me know if any questions. It's a fun session. Thanks for being here tonight. And I will make you now, Marion, I'll make you the host. Just for a few minutes here. Make you host. Okay. And I'll leave. Good evening to everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.